David Jaffe with beststockstrategy.com and davidjaffe.com, and today we're going to discuss an exercise that you can do to decrease the levels of fear, anxiety, and depression. A lot of the thoughts that we have carry over from day to day. Probably around 90%, that's a statistic that I heard, of your thoughts repeat on a daily basis. And a lot of those thoughts, they end up impacting your motivation, your feelings, your behavior, your habits, and in essence, they impact your future. Unfortunately, a lot of those thoughts that we have were formed as children. We were ill-equipped to negate or to counteract a negative thought from a supervisor, a parent, or a teacher. As adults, you are much less impressionable because a lot of your ideology has been formed. So if someone walks up to you and tells you that you're a jerk or that you're worthless, it's not going to have the same impact on you as it will if like your father or your mother tells you when you're like 7 or 8 years old. That's why we can keep those repetitive and negative thoughts with us throughout our adulthood, even though it happened like 25, 30, 40 years ago. One way that I have found to decrease negative thoughts is to actually make yourself completely vulnerable. So if you're walking, let's say you're walking on the street, a lot of people, or I'm just going to talk about myself, I tend to have like a heightened sense of awareness, right? So I'll look at the people, I will just feel a little bit anxious at times. Other times I'll be completely calm, but other times I won't be. Or a good example is when I'm in the ocean, I will be aware of the people who are around me. Because I live in Miami, we'll go into the ocean, and then if there are like 5 or 6 people around me, I will just be aware of their presence. Or even when I'm at home, I will be aware that someone is right next to me. They don't have to be talking to me. I don't even have to know that they're there or anything like that. Or another example is if I'm in the sauna and there's someone right next to me. For me, it's a less relaxing experience to have that person there than it is for me to be alone. For some reason, I am just recharged when I'm alone, and I feel better than if I have someone next to me during a time when I want to be relaxing. Now, I think that makes me an introvert as opposed to an extrovert, because extroverts tend to gain energy when they have other people around them. But the reality is that for me personally, I just seem to be a little bit more anxious and a little bit more stressed when I am around people during situations when I want to relax. One way and one exercise that I've used to mitigate these feelings of anxiety and stress are you go into the ocean and you almost like create a float tank for yourself. So absolute vulnerability is freedom. And what I've done in the ocean is I would just go there and I would put my head down and I would hold my breath. And I don't care how many people are around me, and I just put my face completely down in the ocean. I hold my breath and I try to just give in and relax fully. I don't think about anyone else in the water. I don't think about being able to breathe or hold my breath, or I don't think about bumping into anyone or whether someone's going to bump into me. I don't think about anything. I just really try to focus on my breath and just not really focus on anything, not engage in any thoughts that come into my mind. And if I'm able to do this for about 5 or 10 minutes, that has been the best meditative practice for me, where it actually helps that I'm surrounded by other people, because I go into the ocean and there's usually a lot of people there, and I just put my head down, I hold my breath, and I just try not to react to anything. And I try to take in and show gratitude for being able to live in an amazing place and be in that situation where I'm able to be in the ocean. So again, to reiterate, I think that this works because when you're when you're face down in the ocean, not breathing, you can't see anyone around you, you're absolutely vulnerable. You really are. You're completely vulnerable. And I do believe that absolute vulnerability is freedom. It's freedom from negativity, freedom from being judged, freedom from negative thoughts. And when you're in such a vulnerable state, and then you realize that nothing bad happens to you, you're completely vulnerable, you're holding your breath, you're face down in the water and you're not feeling any fear or anxiety or any negativity. And then after 5 or 10 minutes, when you do this, you're able to get back to normal life and you're no worse for wear. Nothing bad has happened to you. So I think that what typically happens is people think that the anxiety that they have protects them. They think that the negative thoughts that they have protect them from a danger that's out there. But I don't think that that danger actually exists. Or if that danger does exist, I believe that the cumulative negativity and the cumulative harm that come from those negative thoughts and from that fear and from the anxiety significantly outweigh the danger that is actually out there. Meaning that if you walked around with no fear, with no anxiety, with no negativity, that you would be way better off in just dealing with the negative and the negative situations that come up as they come up than you would be to actually be on alert and be anxious and be fearful and be negative in trying to avoid that negative outcome. So like I said before, absolute vulnerability is freedom, and this is something that works for me every single time. Where I go into the ocean, I welcome having a lot of people around me. I just put my face down, I'm completely vulnerable. I don't engage my thoughts. I do it for 5 or 10 minutes, and I think what it does is it resets the natural anxiety and fear and negativity that I have. And when I walk around, I just feel much more calm. I don't have to look at other people and pass judgment or try to assess if this person is a good person or this person is a bad person. It just brings it down, and it's something that I have to do much more often. And I believe that in the future, with continued practice, just like anything else, there's a possibility that I'll be able to significantly mitigate those feelings of anxiety or those feelings of fear. And I think that those feelings are something that a lot of people do have. Or maybe they don't. Maybe it's just me, in which case that's completely cool. But I'm just telling you that this specific exercise has worked for me, where you go in the ocean, you make yourself completely vulnerable, you put your face down, and you just allow yourself to be open to whatever happens. And then by not reacting to the thoughts, and when you're done with the exercise, you realize that those thoughts, those anxiety, that negativity, that judgment does not actually protect you from reality. Because if you're free from that negativity and those thoughts and those judgments, you're going to have the same exact outcome as you would with those thoughts. So why do you have those thoughts to begin with? And I think that by repetition, every time you do it, it just mitigates it. It brings down the level of anxiety, of fear, etc. And if you just do it continuously, then you will eventually get to a point where maybe if you're walking around and you're feeling like a 70 out of 100 feelings of anxiety, fear, negativity, perhaps by doing this exercise, you can bring down those feelings to about a 20, or maybe if you continuously do it, you can bring it down to a 10. Who knows? For everyone's different and unique. But I'm just telling you this exercise because it works for me. And if you have any questions, let me know. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Leave a comment below. I respond to every comment. And once again, this is David Jaffe with beststockstrategy.com. And if you have any questions, I'm here to help. Thank you.